In 1924, a concert pianist woke up from surgery with a dead man's hand sewn onto his wrists. The hands belonged to an executed murderer named Vasseur, and according to the film, they remembered exactly how to kill. The Hands of Orlac was directed by Robertwiene, the same filmmaker who gave the world The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari just 4 years earlier. Its star was Conrad Veidt, the actor whose grotesque frozen grin and the man who laughs would later become the direct visual inspiration for Batman's Joker. The story came from a 1920 French novel by Maurice Renard, a writer fascinated by the idea that body parts might carry the memory of their original owner. This was science fiction before the term existed and body horror decades before David Cronenberg ever picked up a camera. Paul Orlac is a world-famous concert pianist. His hands are his identity, his livelihood, his entire reason for being. Then a catastrophic train wreck destroys them both. His wife Yvonne watches helplessly as the man she married becomes someone else entirely. A brilliant but ethically questionable surgeon named Dr. Searle performs an experimental transplant. He grafts a new pair of hands onto Orlac's ruined wrists. He simply neglects to mention where the hands came from until it is much too late. The hands belong to a man named Vasseur, a convicted murderer who was executed by guillotine. Orlac is now walking around with the hands of a killer sewn onto his body, and he can feel something deeply wrong beneath the skin. This is where the film becomes genuinely terrifying. Orlac starts to believe his new hands have a will of their own. They refuse to play the piano. His fingers twitch toward violence. He becomes convinced the hands are slowly driving him to murder. Conrad Veidt's performance is what makes this all work. He does not need dialogue. His entire body language shifts. His own hands become alien objects he stares at with visceral horror. This was an actor who spent his career communicating terror through posture alone. Then a mysterious stranger named Nira appears. He knows about the hands. He knows about the transplant. He knows everything, and he has a proposition for Orlac, one that involves blackmail and a corpse. A body is discovered. A man has been stabbed to death with a knife bearing Orlac's fingerprints. The police come for him. Orlac himself believes he must have done it, that the murderer's hands took full control while he was asleep. But here is the twist, and it is a brilliant one for 1924. The hands are completely innocent. They were never cursed. Nira is the real killer. He has been systematically gaslighting Orlac, planting evidence, exploiting his psychological terror to frame him for murder. The film was never about supernatural killer hands at all. It was a psychological thriller about how guilt, fear, and cold manipulation can make a man believe he is monstrous. Orlac was driven to the edge not by cursed body parts, but by a con man who knew exactly how to break a human mind. Robertwiene shot much of the film in Vienna rather than Berlin, giving it a different visual texture than Caligari. The expressionist shadows are still there, but the terror is more internal, more cerebral. It directly inspired Mad Love, the 1935 Hollywood remake starring Peter Lorre, and its DNA runs through a century of psychological horror. Conrad Veidt left Germany in 1933 after the Nazis seized power. His wife was Jewish. He went to Britain first, then Hollywood. His final iconic role was Major Strasser in Casablanca. The man who once played a pianist driven to the brink by someone else's hands became one of cinema's most unforgettable villains. The Hands of Orlac remains deeply unsettling because it asks a question actual medicine is only now beginning to confront. What does a transplanted body part carry with it? Memory? Identity? Or just the stories and fears we project onto the flesh? The full film lives on the Internet Archive, free for anyone in the world to watch right now. If a silent film from 1924 about a pianist who received a killer's hands can still unsettle you a century later, imagine what else is waiting inside the public domain vault. Follow the real vault for the next strange discovery.